During this summertime, I've decided to maximize my sleep quality in order to make sure that I get the maximum productivity out of my own days. Well, before, I was never actually giving a shit about my own sleep, which is a huge mistake. Like, if you if you are someone who barely takes a glance of their own sleep quality, or like doesn't really give a shit whether they get less than 8 hours of sleep, then I tell you, my guy, you need to invest more time towards your own sleep or bedtime, because man, sleep does a lot towards your life. Like, I know I sound a bit, or I sound like I'm overreacting and all of that, but it's true. Don't you guys know that your productivity, energy, and basically your entirety is dependent on your sleep? Like, sleep is an important task. Yeah, and I say task, by the way, because some people actually find it hard to sleep earlier or get more sufficient sleep. So yeah, sleep is a task in which everyone should undergo. It is a task in which instilled ever since we were a toddler. Because believe it or not, no matter like whatever state you are in life, or whatever emotions or illness you feel, you have to remember that most of those could be solved with sleep. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, well, maybe some illness or some diseases might not be solved just by a simple sleep, but depression, anxiety, stress, um, fatigue, basically all of the problems that you often experience through your everyday lives, all of those could be solved just by sleeping or having a good sleeping routine. What I'd advise you to do is to sleep earlier but wake up a little bit late. Because I know some of other guys or gurus, if you know those, might tell you the advice of like, oh, wake up at 5 a.m. Sigma male grind set, millionaire, yeah, of that shit. Like, don't believe those. Prioritizing your sleep is much more important than prioritizing your work. Well, sometimes it is, but you need to understand that if you are not really doing that much work, you need to make sure that it's not affecting your sleep. Or if by chance you are doing something, let's say a project, because I know most of students, especially me before, would do this. Like, whenever I get a project, I chances are is that I'm going to procrastinate on it from morning to afternoon, and then I'll just do it when it's nighttime. The worst place to do projects and assignments. So yeah, I do my assignments, and then I always think to myself that I'd finish it before 30 minutes. When in reality, I've already been at it for like an hour and 30 minutes. So I'm a huge ass clown. So yeah, after I've finished my assignment, I look up the time and I went from 7:30 to fucking 11 or 10. Like, it's insane. And then of course, I wake up feeling like total crap, and I always blame the school, or I always blame the educational system. Which, yeah, I do agree that they somehow damaged our own sleep quality, but it's not entirely their fault. It's mostly because of us. We are doing this to ourselves. You could not really blame someone um you could not really blame someone rather than yourself when it comes to sleep, unless it's a specific situation. Because, like, you actually have full control of your own sleeping time. Like, you could always tell me the excuse that, oh, you need to wake up early for school, or that you need to sleep late so that you could do this project and all of that stuff. I mean, sure, but you are the one who is making those conscious decisions. Sleeping is not, or having a good sleep is not achieved if you don't have time management to pair with it. Now, what does that mean? That means that in order to have a good sleep, you need to make sure that you have somehow or somewhat done all of the required work needed throughout that day. Let's say, for example, you do work from day to afternoon, and once evening strikes, you just go do your night routine, you chill out for a bit, relax, and then you head out and keep an eye shut eye. Now, that's a good thing, because if I were you, I would not advise doing work through the evening or evening hours, because that will most likely mess up your sleeping patterns or sleeping habits. So here's my advice to those who are trying to better their own sleep. Advice number one is to progressively overload your sleeping patterns or sleeping schedule. Let's say, for example, you want to sleep at 9 9 p.m. Now, you won't in order to progressively overload, I you won't need to instantly sleep at that time. What I'd require you to do instead is to start from, let's say, 9:40. And let's say you've slept 9:40 for about a week. You could then proceed to lower that scale towards 9:30. And if you've succeeded, lower it by 10 minutes, 9:20, 9:10, and 9. I advise this a lot more than taking the hard path, because that's one of the most common mistakes that I've done during my attempts to fix my own sleep. I'd make these early ass sleeps, and I'd be consistent at them for about 2 to 3 days until I already messed them up. Sleeping is a lifetime process, which is why you should take your time to better it.